Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. Let's continue the lesson. Al-Mudarrisu, the teacher. Na'am, yes. Man iltahaqa qabla al-imtihani. So as we can see here, noon is sakin over here, and when we connect it with kasra. Man iltahaqa, whoever joined, qabla al-imtihani, before the exam, bishahraini, by 2 months, falahu, he has haqq, and we can see now here haqqud dukhuli, he has the right to enter, and we can see here that haqq is a common noun and ad-dukhul is a proper noun, and this is light, so that means this is mudaf and ad-dukhul is mudaf ilayh. So he has the right to join or to enter the exam, fil imtihani, in the exam. So why do we have the preposition of fi here with imtihan? Does anyone remember? Normally, dakhala yadkhulu does not take a preposition, but sometimes it takes a preposition. When does it take the preposition of fi? Does anyone remember? When we enter a place like a room or a classroom physically, then there is no need to use fi with that. You say dakhaltul ghurfata, I entered the room, I entered the room. But when we talk about something that's not physical, for example, fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati. So when the soul enters the human or the person, it's not something, person is not a place. So that's why it is fadkhuli fi ibadi. But when it enters Jannah, then in the Quran it says wadkhuli jannati, because Jannah is a place, so that's why there is no need to use fi with that. So imtihan is something that's not physical. It's something like, where you don't enter physically. So that's why it's fil imtihani. Yes, whoever joined 2 months before the exam has the right to take the exam. Hamidun, ya ustadu, sa'aghibu gadan wa ba'da gadin. Sa'aghibu. What about aghibu? Is it verb form number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Does anyone have any idea? Ighaba yaghibu. Excellent. So form number 1, the regular form. Excellent. Sa'aghibu, I will be absent. Gadan, tomorrow. Wabada gadin, and after tomorrow. Fa'innani, as indeed I. And ni, we can see that here basically ya al mutakallim and not ni is ismu inna, and musafirun, it will be khabaru inna. Fa'innani musafirun, I am traveling. Ila juddata, to Jiddah. Fa'arju as-samaha, and I request your permission. Raja yarju, to request and also to hope. It has 2 meanings. So here it has the meaning of I request. Fa'arju as-samaha. Okay. Samiha yasmahu samahan, as we know that this is masdar. So that's why when we say fa'arju as-samaha, then it will be I request your permission. It will be translated as a noun, as we can see here. So I request your permission. Fa'arju, and this is Hamzat al-Qata, we have to pronounce it. We cannot drop it. So you will say fa'arju as-samaha, I request your permission. Al-Mudarrisu, ala budda min hadha safari. Okay, so we know that we have la over here. Hamza is Hamzat al-Istifham, and Buddha is mabniyun al-fath. So when we see the combination of la and the noun that follows it is mabni al-fath, what comes to your mind? What kind of la is this? La an-nafi lil jins, la of absolute negation. Whenever you see that there is la and after that you have a noun, and noun is mabniyun al-fath, that means this is a noun of absolute negation. Ala budda min hadha safari. So is this travel mandatory? As we discussed that basically la budda means there is no escape. So the literal translation will be is there no escape from this from this journey, but the real translation will be, is this travel mandatory? Hamidun, na'am, yes. Wallahi inni lamuttarrun ila dhalika. Indeed, I am bound to travel. Wallahi inni lamuttarrun ila dhalika. Muttarrun. What about this verb? Can you figure out the past tense and the present tense of this verb? Okay, اضطر يضطر اضطرارا. We will see more of this in detail on the next page. So this is اضطر يضطر اضطرارا, and we will see that some changes have taken place as well. So he says, yes, by Allah, indeed I am bound to travel. Now the same expression that the Sheikh has used over here, he followed the same copy, the same expression that we have in the Quran. For example, in the Quran we have wal asr, and here we have waw al qasmiyah, and here we also have waw al qasmiyah. Here he says wallahi, and here we have wal asri. So both of them have al qasam, and then after qasam we always have jawab al qasam, and if the jawab al qasam is more emphatic, then it comes with inna, and then also inna comes with la, which is also emphatic lam that is used for further emphasis. So here he says inni, so we can see here that basically ya al mutakallim is ismu inna, so indeed I, and then we have lam. This mu is basically here for meme, and so dhamma should be here, and lam is basically with fatha. So here same again we have inna, and here we have inna, and here we have ya al mutakallim, and here we have al insana, and we know that after inna the noun will be mansub, and here he says la muttarran, and here we have lafi, here we have ila, and we have harf jar, and also we have harf jar as well. So the same expression, we need to focus on these expressions because sometimes we have the same expressions that have been used in the Quran. Yes, by Allah, I am bound to travel. So whenever you will see, most of the times when you see in Quran there is qasam, jawab al qasam will start with inna, and also inna will be followed by the emphatic lam. Now let's look at the noun, or the verb I should say, ittarran. So basically the root letters are dad, ra, ra, darara, and we know that when we have two letters that are the same, then they are combined and we put tashdid on there, so it becomes darra. Iftala is the bab, and when we have fa'al kalima, we have dad over there because the root letter is dad, and now ta is here, and then we have ainul kalima and we have lamul kalima. However, we know that if the root letter has one of the emphatic letters that are sad, dad, ta, and dha, then this ta changes into ta, as we can see over here. So that's why it has changed into ta. And then again we have id tarara, and as we know that whenever we have two letters and they are the same, we have to do idgham, so it becomes id tarra, to compel or to force. Id tarra, to compel or to force. So we have اضطر يضطر اضطرارا فهو مضطر. Okay, now look here. Asluhu, what is asluhu? مضطرر. We know that whenever we have the extended forms, the derived forms, whenever we make ismul fa'il, we put mu, and then after that the second last root letter has kasra. So it is مضطرر. However, we know that whenever we have to do idgham, then idgham does not take kasra before it. It always takes fatha before it. So that's why مضطرر has changed into مضطر. So here it is the doer, fa'il, and اضطر يضطر اضطرارا فذاك مضطر. So here asluhu مضطرر. So here it is the same thing that we have over here. Here it has fatha and here it has fatha. However, here we can see that it has kasra, but here it has fatha. So this thing you will find it in all the derived forms of the verb. Whenever we have muda'af, or we say that muda'af or muda'af, then the same rule will be followed. You have to keep this in mind, please. Okay, now look at the example from the Quran. فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ غَيْرَ بَاغٍ وَلَا عَادٍ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ. Alright, so here what form is this? Is this active or passive? Yes. فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ. Is this active or passive? Come on, students. You can just see it here. Look here. And this is passive, right? But what happened to the Dhamma? Why did it disappear? Here we have Dhamma, اضْطُرَّ. But here we can see فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ. What happened to the Dhamma? Because we know this is Hamzatul Wasl. Yeah, Hamzatul Wasl. So whenever it is connected, this one has to be silent. It becomes sakin. Here we have to put dhamma because it's the requirement to make it passive. But when you can see over here that whenever it is connected, when there is a kalima or there is a letter before it, and that letter is mutaharrik, then when we have to connect it, there is no need to pronounce it. So if you pronounce it faman utturra, that will be the wrong pronunciation. So the right pronunciation in the Quran we can see over here. Faman itturra ghayra baghin wala adin fala ithma alayhi. What kind of la is this? Come on, please. You should be able to tell me now. Yes, fala ithma alayhi. What do we have after la? Noun. Does it have dhamma, fatha, or kasra? Fatha, okay. Fatha, right? Okay. So what happens when we have la and after that we have a noun and it is mabniyun al fath? What do we call it? La nafi lil jins. Excellent. So here it means fala ithma alayhi, that there is absolutely no sin upon him. We have seen so many examples of this. La ilaha illallah, la rayba fihi, Allahumma la ma'niya lima a'tayt wa la mu'tiya lima mana'at. We have seen so many examples of this. So you should, and even today in the beginning of the lesson, la buddha, we have discussed today. So you should get used to it now. So, but whoever is forced, فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ غَيْرَ بَاغٍ, by necessity, neither desiring it nor transgressing its limit, there is no sin upon him. فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ. So we have this verb over here and it is used as passive. And you have seen the whole structure, like how we go through so many changes, and you need to know these changes so that you can grasp the idea. Al-Mudarrisu la ba'sa. Again, we have the same expression, la, and after that we have a noun, it is mabniyun al fath. So that means it is la an-nafiya lil jins. No problem at all. La ba'sa, no problem at all. إذا مررت مررت. So marra yamuru marran. فأنت مررت. إذا مررت بمكتبة, by a library. بمكتبة هناك, there. فاشتري لي كتابا, buy a book for me. اسمه, its name is المسلمون على مفترق الطرق. Muslims on crossroads. مفترق, is it اسم الفاعل or اسم المفعول? اسم المفعول. Yes, excellent. On crossroads الطرق. المسلمون على مفترق الطرق. Muslims on crossroads. فاشتري. Okay, what about فاشتري? What kind of verb is this? It's from number 8 that we are discussing now, and this is فعل الأمر. فاشتري لي. اشترى يشتري, so it was basically يشتري, and there was ya after that, but you know the ya has been dropped because this is amr, and that's why it's فاشتري لي كتابا. كتابا اسمه المسلمون على مفترق الطرق. The Muslims on crossroads. انتهى الدرس بعون الله الذي يسره لنا ولا عسره علينا. So the lesson has ended with Allah's help, who made it easy for us and did not make it difficult for us. Alright, so we have alhamdulillah completed our lesson, and now we can move on to the exercises. Everything is clear so far? Do you have any questions? Alright, so if you don't have any questions, we can move on to the exercise now. أجيبوا عن الأسئلة الآتية. Now we have to answer the questions. Okay, so question number 1, as we can see over here, is مقتراح حامد. What is Hamid's suggestion? ما is حرف الاستفهام. اقتراح, we can see that this is مضاف and حامد is مضاف إليه. What is Hamid's suggestion? Does anyone remember what was his suggestion? He wanted, I think, the students to move to the other classroom on the second floor. So, اقترح حامد أن ينتقل الطلاب إلى الفصل الذي في الطابق الثاني. So he suggested that the students move on to the second floor. Okay. نهى الله تعالى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade. Naha yanha, as we know, is from number 1. نهى الله تعالى في الآية الكريمة, in the blessed ayah. Karima is the feminine of karimun. Karimun comes from karuma yakrumu, to be noble. So fil ayatil karimati, in the noble ayah. Waridati, that occurred. Warada yaridu fahuwa waridun, and feminine will be waridatun, from number 1. Very easy things we have discussed several times. So ayah is a noun, and then it has al-sifat al-ula is al-karima, and al-warida is as-sifa al-thaniya. It has 2 sifat, or sifatain we should say. في الدرس عن ثلاثة أمور, عن ثلاثة أمور, about 3 things. ما هي, what are those? Okay, here refers to what? It refers to umur, amrun and umurun. Yeah, 3 matters. Excellent. So what are those?
ولا تجسسوا ولا يغتب.
Excellent. ولا يغتب بعضكم بعضا. الظن, yes. Excellent. Yeah, so 3 of them are here الظن, which is the false assumption, والغيبة, which is backbiting, and والتجسس, and spying. So these are the 3 things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden us, and all of these are the diseases of human being. False assumption, ghiba, which is basically, as there is a hadith, al-ghibatu ashaddu min az-zina, sorry, so it's like even worse than the adultery, and then what the jassasu, and spying on others as well. Unfortunately, these days these things are becoming very common, because we have lots of connections with people, social media and all that, so somehow we are the victim of this or this or this. May Allah protect us from all of them. بماذا شبه الله, شبه يشبه تشبيها, to resemble. بماذا شبه الله تعالى الغيبة, with what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala resemble ghiba with, or backbiting with? Yeah, بأكل لحم الأخل الميت. Excellent. Yeah, perfect. So شبه الله تعالى الغيبة بأكل لحم الأخل الميت. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has resembled it with eating the flesh of the dead brother. Okay, so now we know that shabbaha yushabbihu tashbihan. Tashbih is basically a tool of it's like when you inshallah get into balagha, is like rhetoric speech. So in balagha there are lots of examples of tashbih. So we will see inshallah in detail that in balagha we have tashbih, and this is one of the tools that is used in the Arabic language, just for the fasaha and balagha of the Arabic language. So this is basically tashbih, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, that backbiting is basically eating the flesh of the brother who is dead. So this is basically tashbih, and tashbih is given just to tell someone about the intensity of something. When we say huwa kashams or kalqamar, he is like sun or moon. So kal asad, he is like a lion. So basically ka is also adatu tashbih, which is used to tell. And in the Quran we have faj'alahum ka'asfim ma'kul, and he made them like the eaten up grass. So we can see over there that these are also few things that we need to focus on. But alhamdulillah, as of now, I'm happy that at least you are paying lots of attention to nahv and sarf, and inshallah the next step will be al-balagha. Now we have some information about form number 8, ifta'ala. We have discussed many things in detail, so inshallah we will go through quickly. من أبواب الفعل الثلاثي المزيدي باب افتعل. So from the derived forms الفعل الثلاثي المزيد, from the derived forms we have باب افتعل. زيدت فيه همزة, hamza is added to it, قبل الفاء, before, or basically زيدت فيه همزة قبل الفاء. So before fa al-kalima, hamza is added, as we know. We can see over here that before fa al-kalima, so this is fa al-kalima, and hamza is added to it before that. Wata'un ba'daha, and then ta is added after that. So we have hamza, and then we have fa al-kalima, and then after that we have ta, as we can see over here. So that's what the Shaykh is telling us. Nahwu irtafa'a, so we have here we have hamza and here we have ta, so the addition of ta and hamza makes it bab ifta'ala. irtafa'a, ishtara and intadhara, so these are the examples. Istakhrij min ad-dars al-af'al al-waridati fihi min bab ifta'ala, so we have to look at the examples. So these are the examples which I istakhrajt from the lesson and I gave you all. So here we have the complete like the past tense, the present tense, and the masdar. So iqtaraha, can you please quickly give me the meanings? What's the meaning of iqtaraha? Ittala'a, yes. Iqtaraha, he suggested. Ittala'a, he looked at. Izdahama, it became crowded, as we can see here. And then the rest you can inshallah have a look and you can memorize them. Intaqala, to move. Then we have ishtanaba, to avoid. Ightaba, yaghtabu ightaban, to backbite, and inshallah we will see one of the verbs based on this pattern, like how these changes take place. Then we have iktafa, yaktafi, iktifan, to be enough. Then we have ijtahada, kama tajtahiduna, like you work hard, is to work hard. Intaha, something that comes to an end. Imtahana, to examine, and ishtaraka, to participate, and ittarra, to force or to compel. So you need to memorize the meaning and also the past tense, the present tense, and the masdar. And this is what we have from the lesson. So intadhara is what? Past tense. Tantahi is fi'l al-mudari, and these are the examples from the book. Yashtariku is fi'l mudari. Iltahaqtu is fi'l madi. So intadhara, can you please give me the translation? Intadhara. Yeah, the translation. Intadhara, he waited. Tantahi, she ends, right? She ends, and then we can also say it ends if it refers to something, right? It ends or she ends. Excellent. You have to pay a very special attention to the translation. It will help you in both speaking and translation as well. Yashtariku,
he is participating.
Excellent. Iltahaqtu,
Joined.
I joined. Excellent. I joined. Perfect. Nantaqilu,
we can move to.
We will move. Yeah. Excellent. Fi'l mudari. And fi'l mudari can be translated as we are moving or we will. Both of them are correct. Ishtari,
You buy.
you buy. Excellent. Ijtanibu,
Avoid it.
la. Fi'l amr. Fi'l amr.
All of you.
Avoid. Excellent. All of you avoid. Ijtanibu. Yes. All of you avoid. Excellent. Ishtaraka,
He joined.
he participated. Excellent. Ijtahidu, fi'l al-amr. You all work hard. Excellent. Naktafi, we, yeah.
We will enough. Yes.
Yeah. So it is suffice or it's enough for us. Yeah. Okay. Attali'u, I will look at, and iqtaraba, he came clear. اقترب للناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون. Such a beautiful verse of the Quran that says that that the hisab of the people has come close and they are حسابهم وهم في غفلة موردون, and they are like in ghafla and they are just ignoring it. May Allah protect us from that. لنتأمل جاء وقت للتأمل. The time for reflection has come now. We have to reflect. تأمل المثال. We have to reflect on the example. ثم هات المضارع والأمر واسم الفاعل والمصدر من الأفعال الآتية. And then we have to look at the present tense, فعل الأمر, the doer, اسم الفاعل, and the مصدر. Okay. الماضي we can see انتظر ينتظر. فعل الأمر is انتظر. اسم الفاعل منتظر and مصدر is انتظار. اشترك يشترك اشترك مشترك. Excellent. اشتراكا. Excellent. اشتراكا. Okay. Then we have امتحن يمتحن. الأمر امتحن. Excellent. فهو ممتحن and امتحانا. Excellent. Perfect. We have the exam. Okay. اجتمع to be together. اجتمع يجتمع. Excellent. فعل الأمر اجتمع. Okay. Then we have اسم الفاعل مجتمعون. Excellent. And then we have اجتماع, and the word, اجتماع is used for the meeting. Excellent. And then we have التقى, to meet. Yes. يلتقي. Okay, what about فعل الأمر التقي. Excellent. Ya will be dropped. التقي. Excellent. And what about اسم الفاعل ملتقٍ. Excellent. And al-multaqi, if we have al with there, then that ya comes back, otherwise it will be dropped. Next we have interesting verb ikhtara. Ikhtaba, I told you that on this pattern, inshallah, we will discuss about that. So ikhtara, yakhtaru. Excellent. And what about fi'l al-amr? Ikhtar. Excellent. Ahsanti. Ikhtar. And then we have mukhtarun and ikhtiyarun. Ikhtiyarun is the same on the pattern of intidharun, ishtirakun, and we have ikhtiyarun. But here you can see that mukhtarun, the change has taken place over there. So inshallah, if you are able to focus on one verb on the same pattern, then based on that you can do many. So I will show you one over here. So first what we need to do is always to look at the original form. So the original form is اختجر يختجر اختيارا. Now you know that whenever ya is mutaharrik, whether it has fatha or dhamma or kasra, and then there is fatha before it, and then what happens? It changes into alif. Again, when ya is mutaharrik and there is fatha before it, it changes into alif. Very simple. So it became ikhtara. Then we have yakhtajiru. So the same rule again, ya is mutaharrik and there is fatha before it, so that's why it will change into alif. So it becomes yakhtaru. And ikhtiyaran, the same pattern on ifti'alan, no change has taken place over here. So we have ikhtara, yakhtaru, ikhtiyaran. Is this clear? And on the same pattern we have ightaba, yaghtabu, ikhtiyaban, to backbite. Okay. So, and then we look at the same changes will take place in. Now we want to look at fi'l al-amr. So when we make fi'l al-amr, direct fi'l al-amr to the second person, so we take takhtaru. Then what do? We make the ending sakin, so it becomes takhtar. And then what do? We drop alamatul mudare, it becomes khtar. And now we know we have iltaqā sakinain, right? So when we have iltaqā sakinain, what happens? The weak letter gets dropped. Yeah, so it becomes khtar. Is it readable? No, it's not readable because we cannot. In Arabic, no word can start with the sakin, so that's why we have to put hamzatul wasl before it, so it becomes ikhtar. Ikhtar, you choose. So this is how it became ikhtar. And now similarly some changes will take place in ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul. اختار يختار اختيارا فهو مختار. أصله مختجر. You know that, right? مفتعل. So the root is, or the pattern is, I should say, pattern is مفتعل, and we have مختجر. What was the rule that I told you over here? Does anyone remember the rule?
Yeah, when ya is
متحرك.
before letter,
There is fatha before it. It changes
when
into
ya change.
alif. So it became mukhtarun. Okay. So here it is mukhtarun and it is ismul fa'il. Ukhtira yukhtaru ikhtaran fadaka mukhtarun. And here also we have mukhtarun. And here the same thing happened. It is mukhtayarun. We have ya is mutaharrik and there is fatha before it and it changes into alif, so it becomes mukhtarun. Then how do we know that this is ismul fa'il and this is ismul maf'ul? Of course, from the context, yeah. So in this case, for example, we have the word mumtazun or mukhtarun. Whatever word we have on this pattern, then we have to see from the context whether it is used as ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul. And there are not lots of verbs, some verbs used in the Quran on the same pattern, like ightab. We have seen that verb as well. So if you are able to go through the process of one verb, then based on that verb you can do all the verbs that are on the same pattern. Is this clear? Any questions about this pattern? All right, so in case there is no question, we can تأمل now again. تأمل المثال ثم انقل الأفعال الآتية إلى باب افتعل. Now you have to reflect on the example and then you have to change these verbs to باب افتعل. إذا كانت فاء افتعل. Why do we have كانت here?
Because إذا precedes
Yeah,
past
it's
tense.
very basic. It's something you should know from book number 1. This is fa. What is fa? Fa.
Okay, then this one
Fa is a letter.
this thing, a feminine letter.
It's a letter.
All
No,
the-
all the letters in Arabic language are feminine. You should know this now. All the letters from alif up to ya, all the letters in Arabic are feminine. So that's why for fa we have, in Arabic when it is pronounced it is fa, ta'un, ba'un, fa'un. So when we write it completely as we can see over here. So إذا كانت فاء افتعل, if fa of iftala, as we can see over here, so this is fa. If fa'u iftala is dal, dalan, wa dal, dalan, أو zayan, zay, ubdilat, it is changed, or it is abdala yubdilu, yeah, it's like replaced, or it is moved, I should say. Ubdila ta'uhu, so its ta is moved dalan into dal, so its ta is moved into dal. If you remember, we discussed in the beginning of the lesson that whenever we have ta al kalima, whenever the root letter has dal or za, then ta al kalima will change into dal. It's very simple, I mean. So zahama, we can see here zahama has become izdahama. Why does it become izdahama?
Because the zai has changed into
Dal.
yeah.
Yeah, and why does it change? Not zai. The ta has changed into zal. And why does it change into? Sorry, dal. Yeah, why does it change into dal?
Because if
Za letter
fa.
is
Mm-hmm.
Za letter is coming from first letter, fa letter, fa kalima.
Will change
That's
in
why that change to Za
dal.
letter.
Okay, excellent. So we have to look at the root letters. So we have now here zana, zana yazinu, and we have the word waznun. Yes. So what will be the bab iftala? You have to add hamzat al-wasl. Okay. And then you have to add
Is
instead of ta, you have to change it to da, so it becomes izdana. Excellent. Dhakara, he mentioned, we discussed in detail. Fahal min muddakir, if you remember that.
is dakara.
Id dakara.
Id dakara, yeah. It was basically id dakara, you are perfectly all right. But then what happens? إذ ذكر also changes into إذ ذكر because dal is more emphatic than dal, and then that's why dal is merged into dal, so it becomes إذ ذكر. And from إذ ذكر we have مدكر. إذ ذكر يذكر إذكارا فهو مدكر. دعا,
idda'a.
excellent. ادعى, to claim, perfect. ادعى, excellent. Okay, maybe I think one more example. Yeah, I think we can do. All right, so تأمل المثال ثم انقل الأفعال الآتية إلى باب إفتالة. Then again we have to change them into باب إفتالة. إذا كانت فا, as we can see here, إذا كانت فاء صادا, if it is صاد, أو ضادا, or it is ضاد, أو طاء, it is طا, أو ضاء, it is ضا. Then أبدلت, as we know this is passive, تاؤه طاء, then its ta is changed into ta, as we can see over here. So we have if ta'ala. However, when we look at the root letters, we have sabara, and whenever we have sad, dad, ta, or ra as one of the root letters, then what happens? Ta al kalima changes into ta, as we can see over here. So instead of istabara, it becomes istabara. It changes into ta. Safa, to filter, and istafa, yeah, to be selected, yeah, or to be the chosen one. And daraba, to hit, and iddaraba, yeah, to be anxious, like someone who is anxious. Zalama, idhalama. Okay, so now again you can see here that we have dha over here, and then dha, when we have two of them, they will change into tashdid. Tala'a,
ittala.
ittala'a, excellent. Ittala'a, used in the Quran as well. So here we can see that it changes into ta, changes into ta. One more exercise similar to this. We have to again reflect on this, and then we can see over here إذا كانت فاء, as we can see fa kalima over here, wawan, if fa kalima is waw, ubdilat ta'an, then waw is changed into ta. Very simple over here. So we can see over here, for example, waqa, the root letter. So we can see that the root letter is waw is in the beginning of each of the verbs. We can see over here. So what happens? Waw changes into what?
Ta.
It changes into ta. Yeah, and we know when we have two tas together, then it changes into one ta, and then we put tashdid on that. So asluhu is what? Waqa. Asluhu if taqa, and then this waw also changes into ta. And now you can see here we have ta and ta again. So when we have two of them, they will become one with tashdid. So it becomes ittaqa, to fear. So waqa ittaqa. What about wasala?
Issala.
Again, ittasala. Ittasala.
Ittasala.
Yeah,
Ittasala.
ittasala. So basically, you have to look at that. Before this, you put hamza, and when you put hamza before this, then we have waw after that, and this waw has to change into ta, and we have another ta, so it becomes ittasala. Wahada becomes ittahada. Excellent. Wafiqa becomes
Ittafiqa.
Ittafiqa.
ittafaqa. Ittafaqa. Yeah, please remember that whenever we have kasra and whenever we have tashdid, then that kasra changes into fatha. So it becomes ittafaqa. All right, to agree. Okay, so shall we stop here? هل نحن نتفق? So do we agree that we should stop here, or shall we do one more exercise?
One more step.
Inshallah, one more exercise.
Okay, subhanallah. Okay, no problem. Okay. So we have udhkur, we have to mention. Asla kullin, the original of everyone, mimma ya'ti, that follows. Thumma bayyin babahu, then we have to specify its bab. You know that when we use the word bab for thulathi mujarrad, we have the names like bab, nasara, daraba, fatha, samia, and karuma, and hasiba. Those are the names of the abwab. When we talk about mazid fi, in mazid fi, all these abwab are named after their masdar. So the bab has the name on the name of the masdar. For example, iftial is the name of the bab. Similarly, tafa'ul, similarly, taf'il. So the names of the bab, all of them will be on the name of the masdar. So that's why we call them bab. So this is basic thing that we should know as well. Intadara aslahu nadara. He saw min bab iftala. Zidat fihi al hamzatu wa ta'u, and then hamza and ta are added to it. Okay, in kasara.
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 Asluhu. Min bab.
Okay, so
infala.
what's the pattern of kasara? Is it
Kasara.
iftala or is it infala?
Infala.
Infala, yeah. Now we have to see whether it is from number 7 or from number 8. And the difference is very clear. Whenever we have ta added to that, that means it will be from number 8. In fataha, I gave you the hint. Yes.
Ziyadahu alif hamza. Then we have to say that it is
It is also
nun.
Fataha. So yes, we have to only figure out which bab is this. Is this 7 or 8? If ta'ala. Yes, it's bab. So it's a mistake. It should be bab if ta'ala, right? If ta'ala. It's not in fa'ala, if ta'ala. Okay, in taqala.
This is of the
From number 7 or 8? Naqala, perfect, yeah. In 8. Intaqala, yantaqilu intiqalan, perfect. Because we have ta into that, so this ta will definitely differentiate between from number 7 and 8. Intashara, what will be the root letter? Nashara. Okay,
nashara.
nashara, and then which bab is this?
Ta'ala.
Ifta'ala, excellent. In qata'a.
Qata'a.
Qata'a,
7.
7. Infa'ala, excellent. And then we have intasara,
Nashra.
nasara,
Iftala.
ifta'ala, excellent. So it is ifta'ala, excellent. Alhamdulillah, lots of practice, and I hope inshallah that we benefit from this. So nantahi huna inshallah. Inshallah we will meet when the next week hopefully inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Walaikum salam.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وإياكم.
رجعت هيلك.